for it. All right. Welcome, everybody. We're just like waiting for the little circle to continue so we can jump on here. Welcome back to Inspire Speaker School. Today, we are talking about how to grow your business after a toxic relationship. And I think there's a lot of things actually. Business is one of those refining things, right, Trish? It's one of those refining things where you're like, oh, of course, I'll just go to do my business. And logically, it's not that hard. The things that you're supposed to do, it's not even like that is that hard. But then we run into all of these limiting beliefs and emotional trauma and all this stuff that we didn't even know was there. And then it shows up in your business and it makes it so that you can't move forward. So we're talking about one of those specifically, which is a toxic relationship. So I've got Trish Lynn on here, part of the Inspire Speaker Network buddies. That's how we met. And she is fantastic. She's a social media expert and has some personal experience with toxic relationships. So she is here to chat with us all about those two things. So welcome to the show, Trish.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be able to come on and, share the awareness and connect the dots for women who have been in, and men. I don't want to exclude men. I predominantly work with women, but I know a lot of my story has resonated with men. And it's connecting the dots of, how that toxic relationship has really come in and affected your business in ways that a lot of people don't even recognize.
Yes, that is. And I imagine there's abusive women out there, but I probably imagine, honestly, toxic relationships can happen in so many different ways, not even just these, romantic relationships, but it probably, a lot of what you share probably applies to abuse and other issues overall. So.
Yeah, my experience, unfortunately, comes with narcissistic abuse and narcissistic traits. So being able to now look back 2 years out, thankfully, look back and see all of those pieces that even 6 months ago, moving forward, I questioned my own content because I had someone jump in and say something and he was fairly close to me. And I'm like, oh my God. And it wasn't until I had a good friend. She's like, why are you letting him tell you that you're not good enough? I'm like, because I'm still carrying the belief from that toxic relationship of all of the things that I was said and told that, nothing I ever did was good enough. I wasn't allowed to have an opinion. I wasn't allowed to have a voice, even wearing what I wanted to wear. It was questioned all the time. My hair was questioned all the time. Makeup, if I wore makeup, well, who are you trying to impress? Like all of these little things that you don't realize actually eat up at you, and they stick in your mind, whether you think you've moved forward from it or not. I mean, 6 months ago, I was out 1.5 years and it was still showing up.
Oh, absolutely. I can believe it 100% because there's so many subconscious messages going on, and it's not like you're just going to take a shower and then I'm good, I'm clean, I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's washed away. But these things obviously take some time to get through. So before we kind of dive into, I have so many questions for you in terms of how, what are the signs? How do you get past some of this? All of that. But before we dive in there, can you tell us a little bit more about your story and with your abuse and how you saw it affecting your business? And I also want to answer the question of what is narcissism and that, because I think some people maybe aren't super familiar with that term and what it really means.
Where do you want to start? We can start with what story will resonate more. Like trying to explain what narcissism is difficult because it can show up in so many different ways. So, sharing my story might be a better way to bring that in, and someone may be like, oh yeah, that resonates with me. But I started my business, I want to say 8 years ago now. And everything was good. But even now, when I look back, it was what he wanted me to do. So when I originally started in the online space, I went back to school for nutrition.
Really?
I have a diploma in health and nutrition, and I specialized in weight loss because that's what made sense, right? And I did good. My business was growing. And then COVID hit. And I just signed a pay in full client for 6 months for weight loss. And she couldn't buy food at her grocery store. And in that time, I was already dabbling with moving over to content marketing, because content is something that comes easily and naturally to me. Like the business growth side of things was just easy and effortless. So I'm like, okay, we have two options. I can refund you, or she was starting a business at the same time. Like, we can look at your business. So in that, I pivoted. But in pivoting my business, I had to start focusing on my business a lot more at the same time, right? And then I got told I'm consumed by it, and you're preaching this and that, yet look at you, you're a mess. Because if you show any emotion towards a narcissist, it is thrown back at you as you're irrational and you're sensitive, and why are you making something big out of nothing? Like the hidden insults, I can't even begin to explain. There were so many of them just hidden in, well, you're too soft, like it's just a joke. Well, it's not a joke if you're hurting my feelings. Like it's not that.
And you probably meant it that way, by the way. Yes.
Exactly. And there was just so many little things. The lack of support. I would ask for, an hour. If he was off that day, because I was a stay-at-home mom for 10, 11 years. So I'm growing my business while raising my kids. Very, very fortunate. That's one thing I don't take for granted, is I got to learn a lot while I was home with them. And I had that opportunity to learn and grow while raising my kids. And I'm very fortunate for that. And, just simply asking for an hour while he was home, like on his days off, to work on my business, I was told I was consumed by it. And it was taking over and this and that. But, something that should have taken me 5 minutes to do was taking me 20 minutes to an hour, because every 5 minutes I got the kids coming in, wanting something. Right. So there's all of these little pieces that, slowly built up to the point that I was working on my business. We had moved. I wasn't signing any clients. No one was coming in, no matter what I did, no matter how much content I put out. I was checking all of the boxes on what I was supposed to do. And I was inside of a coaching container, and the coach said to me, if you had the clients that you want right now, how would you feel? And my response was overwhelmed. My nervous system did not have the capacity to bring in the clients that I wanted for my business and see the results that I wanted to see in my business, and protect myself from the environment that I was living in. It was constantly, walking on eggshells. You never knew what mood he was coming home from work in. If it was his day off, everything had to be what he wanted to do. If I wanted to go out shopping, or not even just to the grocery store, but if I wanted to go out to Winners just to get out for a bit, it was, well, he was coming with me. But then I was rushed because he doesn't want to be there. So you never knew what to expect. And it just became a constant walking on eggshells, not saying anything, again, that not having a voice, not having an opinion, because, well, if it wasn't his opinion, then it was the wrong opinion. And I just slowly sank back, and I sank back, and I sank back. And I wasn't the person who I wanted to be showing up. I say this all the time now, you can show up, and this was me every day on social media. So when I say this from truth and experience. You can show up every single day on social media and not be seen, because you don't have the capacity to be seen. And part of you is still hiding behind all of those things, all of those thoughts that are ingrained in your mind. You have to be able to heal from them and show up fully how you want to show up, not how they expect you to show up.
Yeah.
In those years, I was hiding, right? I was hiding who I was, what I was going through, because who am I to say anything?
Right. And I'm sure it's embarrassing too, or because you're in that environment so much, you probably start to question, oh yeah, was he just joking? Right? Like you said, maybe he was just joking. Maybe I am taking it too far. Maybe I am too. And then you start devaluing yourself, because you're like, oh, well, maybe this is the problem. Maybe that is right. And it gets so confusing. I remember someone had explained to me, a couple of years ago, I wasn't super familiar with narcissism. Someone happened to explain it to me. And then I was in this relationship, and it wasn't even, I'm happily married, but it was in my business. I found someone locally that was a really successful business owner, entrepreneur in the information coaching space. And I was like, so desperate for a friend who lived near me, who understood what I was going through. And it was such a toxic relationship, but he was so good at manipulating. He was just so good at manipulating. And I remember my body just physically reacting one time when we were on a conversation. I literally started throwing up because I did not want to be on that conversation, but I felt like I couldn't get out. And what you're saying, it's just you can be seen, you can be seen and you don't feel seen. You're not really seen because you're just hiding in this face, or you're doing all the work. I just did a video on this. You're working hard, hardly working, right? Like you're working hard, hardly working, because you are doing all the things, but if it's not producing results, something is going on. Something's happening.
That's it. And so one of the things I say now, like if you're chasing strategy, but you're not seeing that result, it's not your strategy. It all comes back to you and checking in with yourself. Are you confident in the message that you're putting out? What's your environment like? Like and again, that nutrition side of me comes in. What's your environment like? What are your habits like? Because, you eat like shit, you feel like shit. So it comes back to this holistic approach of everything that you do and be and are comes into your business. And if you aren't confident in yourself, you could again show up, but you're not going to be seen because you're not showing up with that confidence of, I am the person that's going to help you get from point A to point B. And after that toxic relationship, it is a lot to do. It's a lot to do by yourself. I did not do this by myself. I have an amazing support system because I still have moments where I doubt myself and they're in the back of my ear saying, remember who you are, keep going. Like, this is what you do. This is what you've done. Don't doubt yourself now. And you have those moments. They're always going to come up. We're human. Even when you're not in a toxic relationship, those moments come up. Now you add that toxicity on top of it and all of those little things that you were told along the way. And it's just like, I don't want to say it's harder because it's not harder. It's that little bit more of diving deeper into remembering who you are. Because narcissists go after strong women. They want to break you down so that their ego can feel good because, hey, look at her. Look at how she was. And now look how submissive she is to me.
Gosh, that's like, ooh, I just want to shake that off. So gross. Yeah.
And it happens so slowly, you don't even realize it's happening. And they are master manipulators. And then you do doubt yourself. You question everything because from the outside world looking in, you've got everything. Like I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have to work. We had $1 million plus home. He had a $200,000 a year job, brand new truck, new SUV, like you name it, we had it. Our house was gorgeous. We had a beautiful pool, like everything. From the outside looking in, it was perfect. And I would get asked, like, what's your problem? You have everything.
Yeah, like what's wrong with you? Stop making something out of
it. I doubted myself so many times. I'm like, am I the problem? But then, as you learn and as you hear stories like mine, and this is my big mission, is to help women connect the dots. You realize it's not you that's the problem. It's the abuse that goes on behind the closed doors. And, for me, it wasn't physical abuse. It was mental and emotional, which, to be honest, the physical abuse might have been easier because I think a lot of us look for that to be able to leave as a sign of, oh, you want to hit me? Okay, I'm gone. But the mental and emotional abuse, you stay and you stay longer. And you suffer through it, not even realizing because, you don't have those physical marks to say, oh, look, you've hurt me. Now I can go.
Yeah. Or you do feel psychologically trapped in that as well. And just, it's just the steps of walking out the door, but I literally can't take those steps. Just like we're talking about in our business, that the steps aren't that hard. You just put one foot in front of the other. The tactics should be working. The strategy should be working. But either I'm doing it and it's not working, or I just can't put one foot in front of the other to do the thing.
Yeah. And, it took me, I started to see the signs build up. I saw the signs, like I had the proof in my business that I did not have the capacity for both. Okay, that's cool. I put myself first. My business went on the back burner. And I did the work that I needed to do. And then one day that switch flipped and I was done. I was mentally and emotionally checked out of that relationship. And I knew moving forward, I had this strong foundation of my business. I knew what to do. It was just a matter of, okay, now let's go deeper into the healing pieces, and even it's been the last 6 months that I've really been able to show up and be seen. It took me a year and a half because now I'm able to fully share my story. And I've got to niche down into helping women who have been in toxic relationships because I get to share my experiences and sharing them without a fear of, what are the repercussions going to be. And I've had this conversation before too, because my perception of the events that occurred are my perception. If he sees anything on my social medias, which he's pretty well blocked, so is everyone he knows, and that's my perception. No one can take that from me. So for me, it's being seen at this, I want to say next level, because I get to fully show up and be me without a fear of what if he sees.
Yeah.
He knows
Yeah.
how it was.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more in terms of how do you go from, okay, now we're listening to your story, we're hearing it, and maybe some women are thinking light bulbs are turning on. Wow, maybe this is what's happening with me. Maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe, or that last relationship that I had really did that to me and I never connected the dots. So now what do we do now in order to, heal and then be the best in our business? And how do you connect those?
So it's really recognizing where you're walking on eggshells with your content. Where are you not authentically being you? Where are you still holding back from saying what it is you want to say out of fear? That relationship moves now into your audience and your clients. Are you holding back what you want to say to them out of fear that they're going to lash out at you? Or are you holding back in what you want to say in your content out of fear the trolls are going to come out? Because social media is social media. In my opinion, if you don't have the trolls coming at you on social media, then you're not making enough noise and you're not being seen. Like I want the trolls to come out because then I know I'm making enough noise and my voice is being heard. But a lot of women still hold back in that and in saying what it is they truly want to say. Cancel culture is huge right now. There's so many things, and we have to remove that fear of having a voice. So it's regaining that confidence and, starting from within, starting with yourself, building that trust within yourself. I stayed for 16 years. Something as simple as buying my car was the hardest thing I've ever had to do because I've never been allowed to do it and have a decision, an opinion and a decision to say, I want this and I'm going to do it.
Wow. Yeah.
Like the simplest of things we don't recognize that are really difficult because we've never been allowed to do it, or for so long we weren't allowed to do it. So it's really building that trust within yourself. That trust helps build that confidence in yourself, getting clear, in your business, who are you here to help and how are you here to help them? And are you authentically showing up as you? 2025, we're in the year of authenticity and connection, actually building real connections with people. Are you doing that? And if there's a part of you that's still holding back, well, let's dive into that a little deeper. Why are you holding back that side of you? And if it's not something you're willing to share, like I don't share my kids that often on social media. It's my ex and I, when I started my business, that's something we had agreed on, but it's cool. Yeah, I'm a single mom. I will share my kids, but I don't share them all the time and I don't share their faces. So if there's something that, is a big part of your life that you're not sharing or you don't know how to share it, well, how can you look at it differently? What little pieces can you share?
And I think it's probably layers too, right? Because you don't even know that you're not being authentic half of the time, I think, especially whenever you're starting this journey. I'm sure we've just convinced ourselves so much. Of course, this is what I want to do. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to do this. Right. And so then you hold back. And because of that, just like what you were saying with your business, okay, this is the thing that's super easy. It's a no-brainer for me. It just comes so natural. you could be doing that thing that is so natural to you, but you're not even looking at it because I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to be over here. And everybody says that this is how, wherever I shine or whatever it is, when the reality is, okay, I don't really want to even do that anymore.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I didn't want to be doing nutrition. And even, I had moments of, well, should I be doing this? No, like what I'm doing now is where I excel and where I shine. I can look at your content and within 5 minutes, I can tell if it's you. Like, I will have a conversation with someone. I'll go look at their socials. I'm like where this is missing. Like, there's a gap here. We've got to fill this. We've got to connect those dots so that your audience can actually see you for who you are and build that like no trust factor and come in. If your messaging doesn't sound like you, so I have a 7-step framework that I take my clients through. And one of it is the authentic messaging makeover, because you've got to be authentic in the content that you're putting out, in the stories that you're sharing, in all of the things, because whether it's just written words, your energy still shines through that content.
Oh, 100%. And tell us a little bit more. Can you share maybe your experience or somebody else's transformation in business specifically of what's the difference between showing up, doing all the right things, being in this type of situation, but still having these blocks, and then having that authentic message makeover like you talk about, where, okay, now I'm showing up actually as myself. And what's the difference? What does that really look like for people?
It looks like, I'm going to use myself. It looks like, hey, Trish, or hey, guys, I'm Trish. I help women who have been in toxic relationships grow their businesses in the online space. I'm here, but I'm not really here, right? Or it's, hey, guys, I'm Trish. I help women who have been in toxic relationships grow their businesses in the online space. We go from this to this, connect the dots of this is my experience. It's actually owning your story and wanting to share that message, but having that confidence in yourself to share that message. And it's such a big piece. And I've noticed, I haven't noticed, my audience has noticed recently in the last couple months that my energy has been different, because I've been getting more and more and more and more clear, like just dialing in on who I help and how I help them. And in that piece, I've got to open up like so much more, and open up so much more of me, that I'm bigger. My energy is bigger. I'm meeting people offline and they're like, you're small, but your energy online is so big. I'm like, yeah, I'm little, but my energy is showing up before I do. And it's showing me as this, a big energy. And that's the transformation right there. But it all comes back to that trust and confidence within yourself of, looking at the results, especially when you've been in that toxic relationship. Go look at those results that your clients have gotten. Remind yourself who you are and what you do, and keep going. Don't go back to those thoughts. They're so easy to fall back into, but make a checklist if you have to, as a reminder of who you are and why you're here to do what you do, so that on those days that you doubt yourself, you look at this checklist and you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm here to do. And you keep going and you keep going, but you honor yourself at the same time. I took 2 weeks off over Christmas because I needed that space to recalibrate.
Yeah, really good. So it's this energetic shift is what I'm hearing, that sometimes we don't talk about as often. We're like, okay, here's what you got to do. And I'm asking, what do I need to do to get my business going? What do I need to do? And it's more the energy level of, who do you need to be? Who do you need to be showing up as? Who do you need to be? So for you, you said you saw another big shift here in the last 6 months. What would you say is the top thing for you that has really worked and helped you regain that confidence and authenticity?
Self-awareness into my thoughts. I set my goals out. I have some big goals for 2025. And it's really stepping back into when I catch myself. So the self-awareness piece, because I catch myself in those thoughts of, okay, no, this isn't good. No, wait a second. Then if I make this, my income goal, I'm like, this is peanuts. If I hit my goal, which it's already done, it's going to happen. What I'm worrying about right now isn't going to matter this time next year. So why am I sitting here worrying about it? And it's catching yourself in those low thoughts. You can get so caught up to, especially in business, what if I don't sign these clients? Well, now you're chasing that lower level energy of it's not happening. And what happens when you keep thinking the same thought of it's not happening, you're going to create more of it's not happening. So it's catching that thought. When you're in that toxic relationship, it's so easy to fall back into those patterns because they're already wired in your brain of, you're not good enough. You never say the right thing. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're not allowed to have a voice. You got to rewire those pathways of always looking forward, always looking towards that future goal. Yeah. And that has been my biggest shift of remembering where I'm going. I'm forging a path that I have not seen in the online space. So when I'm human, it gets to me. I've had moments where I doubt everything and I'm ready to burn it to the ground almost every other week. But then I remember I'm forging my own path and not gonna, my path doesn't look like anyone else's because no one else is combining these two pieces online and sharing, hey, look, that toxic relationship is the reason you're not signing clients and being seen on social media.
Yeah, which it totally is. You said voice several times, and I hear that from a lot of my clients. The people in my community are saying, I want to work with you. I want to build my signature speech because I lost my voice and I want to get that back. I want to step into saying what I am here to say. And it is so beautiful when they do because, the energy shifts, people are connecting, and you're more willing to show up on social media and to do the work in your business because it's actually working and it's not draining and sucking the life out of you. So this is so good. So tell us about, I've got here, you have a freebie that you're going to share with our audience, and then tell us a little bit more about how anyone listening can connect with and learn more from you.
So the freebie is it's 10 warning signs that your toxic relationship has infiltrated your business, because this comes into clients you work with, even coaches and mentors that you hire. Like there's so much of it in the online space that it's just, here's the signs. And recognizing, okay, yeah, I'm still holding back here. Okay, yeah, I'm still holding back here. Oh yeah, I do this. And I let my clients walk all over me because I have no boundaries, because I'm used to having no boundaries. Like there's so many little things that you have to rebuild, and it's a learning process. And once you do learn to rebuild and catch yourself, I used to allow clients to reschedule at any point in time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll work my schedule around it. No problem. Now it's oh, you're not going to show up for our time. Okay, well then I'll see you next week, because my time is valuable, and you have to start making your time valuable. And I had such a hard time doing that because my time was never valued in that relationship. And it was something that I carried forward because I wanted to people please, right? I wanted to make my client happy. They've just paid me a lot of money to be here. Well, they also respect it a lot more when I set those boundaries, because it makes them show up. It makes them do the work. And it's about going first and showing them, hey, like this is what the standard I hold for myself. I hold it for you too.
Yeah. So good. Yes, because those boundaries, a lot of times we think, oh no, they're going to leave, or they're not going to respect me, or whatever. But yeah, if you tell me, if you're not here 10 minutes before, you're not going to be in my interview or whatever, then people will say, okay, you got to pay attention to Michelle because she's going to follow through on that kind of stuff. And so exactly. Let me get my ducks in a row. Right.
Because if you're going to take your time to show up for me and I'm not going to show up, why would you want me to come back? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. I've just wasted your time. So yeah, it's really setting those boundaries. The warning signs are great. It just kind of gives you that more in-depth look at where there are possible ways that could be trickling in, and you might not even recognize it. And then anyone can connect with me on Instagram, the Trish Lynn.
All right. Perfect. Yes. I love this so much. And this list also, I love that idea as well, having heard your story for people who have had toxic relationships or maybe on the fence. Then it's really nice to look through and say, okay, well, how could this possibly be affecting me? And I don't even know all the areas that it is. And so being able to see that and kind of, I don't know about you, but sometimes I like a little checklist of, okay, here's some of the things I need to tackle. And so that seems super helpful. So yeah, Thank you so much.
No
Is there
problem.
anything else you'd like to share with our amazing ladies that are listening today?
One thing that I keep saying over and over and over again, because obviously there's still a fear sometimes showing up, sharing my story, sharing what I'm here to do and how I do it. My impact is greater than my fear. It's something that I am constantly repeating to myself to remind myself why I'm here and showing up every single day, because there are so many women who have been in toxic relationships that are growing their businesses. I don't want to say struggling, but it can be a struggle sometimes. You can get fed up with social media. You feel alone. Not only do you feel alone being an entrepreneur, but being an entrepreneur on social media, you can feel even more alone. And then you start to doubt yourself. And then all of those little things can creep in. And it's just remembering your impact is greater than your fear. And we are all here to support you in any way that we can. Build that connection, build your support system, because that is where you lean on in those moments of doubt. Like if I didn't have the support system I have, I probably would have thrown in the towel by now. But it's building that support for yourself to keep remembering your impact is greater than your fear.
I love that so much. Thank you, Trish. Thank you so much for your time and the work that you're doing. It is a huge impact for people, and it's something that needs to be said. So I admire your bravery, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.